All right, so we're back from the actual MLR draft. Did the draft show with Will Hooley, Alex Corbacero, and Ryan Fitzgerald. Really fun to do that and talk about the expectations, the predictions that we knew were going to happen, and then some surprises. We always knew there was going to be a surprise.
What about for you, Alex Goff, though, as well? Because I know there's a bit of pressure on you today with the prospects. What is this 2025 class looking like?
Well, I'm very excited about the distribution of talent. Very interesting to me, and there's a lot of depth, especially in the front row, and also, interestingly, at fullback. So we're going to see some big talent come out of there, but we're also, I'm sure, going to see somebody come out of sort of almost nowhere, out of left field. There always is somebody like that, and that's kind of the thrill of it all.
Quick look down at the who was actually drafted and who drafted them, and you go down through. We knew Will Sherman almost certainly was going to be drafted number 1, or at least up there. Campbell Robb, I kind of felt in the back of my mind that he would go that high, but I didn't say anything about it, so I guess I can't take credit. But definitely, you know, if you establish his residency status and you're comfortable with that, then yes, that's a great place for him. T.I. Vavau, a little bit of a surprise to be that high, but Seattle saw something in him.
T.I. Vavau gets you over the gain line. He is a carrier. He is a carrier. He is a carrier.
Connor Devos, we knew he'd go high. Went 4, thought he might actually go as high as 2. Oscar Tracy, number 5 pick for the California Legion. I think that's a really good fit. As actually Corbacero mentioned, Legion plays a wide open style. Let's get an exciting back in there. Elias Garza, a really good pick in the front row. We talked about the front row being very deep. Jacob Ince was the surprise. Of the Canadian players, I didn't have him there. He is a powerful running inside center, says he's also a wing. Maybe he is at the professional level. And really, Utah saw something in him as a guy who can be really effective in the middle of the field. And remember, flankers and centers often fill the same role now in the way the game goes. And Ince does talk about some of his skills that are more flankery skills to add to that. So I think that that's maybe what they're looking at. Jeremiah, California saw that and said, yeah, it's a great athlete, great rugby player. He's a project, I think. That's okay. I think they can work with him on that. And then Adam Chadwick, like I've been saying, he and Campbell Robb, not that much difference between them. I think also what I said for New England, Chadwick will probably finish up a season with life and then sign with New England. And if they play him, they're playing him the second half of the MLR season. Nothing wrong with that. Just let him go do that, come, and then ease your way into the team, just as you do in other professional sports. Just because you draft somebody doesn't mean they go straight in. And that's the thing about, if you look at different sports, major sports, and honestly, I don't know how it works with professional soccer, but it probably works the same way. In hockey and in baseball, very rarely are you drafted and you immediately go into playing without playing in the minor leagues or in minor hockey. You just don't. You get developed like that. Occasionally, though, they have a super special athlete, Connor McDavid, Dave Winfield, I believe, never played a day in the minor leagues when he was a baseball player. People like that who go straight in. In football, you're either on the roster or you're not. Because they have so much turnover in football, you're drafted, you're expected to be a potential to be on the team. They have a huge roster, and they also have people they sort of keep on the side, and they have the practice squad, things like that. But really, you're drafted, you're expected to try to make that team. So it's a little bit more like a hybrid, maybe, between hockey and football, in that there are some sort of minor leagues. There are places for somebody to play competitive rugby that's not on the professional team, and then there are academy teams, things like that. And you need time to develop. And on the NFL, they put you on the roster, but they might not play you a lot for quite some time. They give you a few minutes because of all the substitutions. You can put somebody on for 2 or 3 plays and see how he goes. And if you're winning or losing late in the game and the game's pretty much decided, you run on some guys and say, let's see what he does. You can't really do that in rugby because there are limited substitutions. The second round was interesting. Just one more thing about the first round. CRAA players, out of the 9 picks, 8 of them were CRAA players, D1A, and 1 was from Canada. And as I said on the show, that's about game time.
Alex Goff, you can explain a bit about this. Great pickup for Utah Warriors.
Yeah, well, one of the big things to keep in mind is what kind of experience these players have. We've been getting kids who are drafted out of D1A. They're getting 13 to 17 high-level games. Up in Canada, same deal.
I think as much as competitive, hard game time, very hard. How many tough games do you play in a year and through your career? In CRAA, D1A, you play more in the year and you play more through your career. That's it. That's pretty much why. So that attracts better athletes, attracts stronger rugby players. Not always, certainly not always, and not. It's not completely obvious, as we'll see. We saw, of course, 2 years ago, the number 1 pick was a NCR player in Rick Rose, but it was an NCR player whose team played every week all the way through the fall. And he played a lot of all-star stuff as well. And they were playing in the Rugby East, so they were playing tough games every week. That matters. That really does matter. So we go through the same thing, right? Tavita Mapa is a strong runner, powerful tackler, loose forward from life. He gets picked in the second round, first pick from Anthem. So now Anthem has chalked off lock, hooker, and then a loose forward who can cause problems and raise the physicality. Interestingly, all things we need to work on with the national team as well. Seattle goes with Charlie Walsh, probably the best prop left. But there's still some very good props going, so they're pretty happy with that. So then Seattle has said they decided to go with a hard-running, hard-carrying flanker who might have, and maybe they really wanted Vavao, and maybe they got the impression that Anthem was going to take Vavao or Mapa, and they didn't want to risk it. I don't know. And they said, look, there's going to be a great prop left in the second round. That turns out to be true. And there's going to be a great prop left in the third round, in fact. Then you go on to Old Glory's pick, and they went with Jamie Phillips out of Dartmouth, who's a very good hooker. Maybe the best hooker available. I don't think so necessarily, because I think there are some other guys who have some enormous upside. But Jamie Phillips out of Dartmouth, an interesting pick. And I think sometimes it's also about who's excited about coming here, who's excited about doing what we need to do. Do we need somebody now? Do we need somebody in time? Things like that. Phillips, very, very smart player, though, and a good pick. First NCR pick of the draft. On the 12th pick overall. And then we start to see teams sort of like experiment a little bit. So California goes with Josh Cox. That's a UCLA guy, kind of a local guy. So he's not going to have to move a long way. He's still in town. Very exciting fullback with a lot of skill, potential to play a little fly half, maybe, I don't know. Or they put him in the wing. So some versatility, some skill level there. That's good. And then another guy who's sort of a mixture, a fullback / fly half, Bastian Brunello. He gets picked by Chicago. And so again, I wonder, like, do you want to come here? Do you want to work with us and things like that? And I think Brunello offers a lot of options. I thought he might go in the first round. No, that's all right. And then the 6th pick of the second round, Philemoni Manu from AIC. I talked about him, very elusive guy, kind of small. He's listed as a center. I think he's a wing. I think he'd be a great wing for Utah. Somebody who can punish turnovers immediately, who can beat guys in close quarters. That's important because there's not a lot of space. So a really interesting pick from AIC. That's your second NCR pick overall. And a really exciting player. I think that's good. You'd sit there and say, let's get someone who brings some excitement. A couple of people still left on the board. King Matu, a tremendous carrier of the ball. The number 8 can play number 6. Houston goes for him. And remember, this is actually Houston's first pick of the whole draft. So they've got to be pretty happy with that. They've got a guy who can play lock. He's big. He's like 6'4". He can play 8, can play 6. Provides power and physicality to a team that already has it, but would be a great right now. I think when I was talking about the whole minor league thing, right, and the easing people into it, the thing you do with a guy like Matu is you bring him on for 15 minutes at the end of the game and have him raise that intensity, raise that level, and do that. And then the 8th pick of the second round was Leon Best out of Life University. Very athletic prop, strong and powerful. What maybe not technically as adept as the other props, but a guy I think who would, if he throws himself into it, working for New England, playing for New England, he's got some people who are going to be able to teach him the even more fine points of what he has to do. I think he could explode under that tutelage. It's going to take a couple of years. If you like the work that we do, go to Goff Rugby Report /support GRR and donate to help us keep all our content in front of paywalls. And also support our sponsors. Irish Rugby Tours. Go on tour. Expand your horizons. They'll make it happen for you. The US Rugby Foundation, which supports grassroots rugby around the United States and also helps elite opportunity. Panther Rugby Academy, in which you can pursue elite playing opportunities. Thanks to 8x8 for our kit. Do you want to go play rugby in college? Next Phase Rugby. That is the app to download, start your profile, connect with over 400 colleges around the United States, and get the place that you want to go for higher education and also to play some great rugby. The other guy they could have picked gets picked up in the very next pick, the first pick of the third round. And that's Anthem's pick, and it's Chad Tinney out of Lindenwood. So Lindenwood had Tinney and Devos playing for them in the front row. And Devos, this is broad generalizations, was perhaps more technically sound, and Tinney was meaner. And again, you bring somebody on late in the game, raise that intensity level. We talked about that a little bit in my preview videos. That would be good. So now Anthem has looked at what have they've sort of gone down this spine, right? So they've got hooker and prop in Rob and Tinney. That's a really nice combination to have. They've got Sherman at lock, and they've got Mappa 6 or 8. And all of these guys have power and size, game knowledge, athleticism, and all of these you could legitimately say, although some more than others, but you could legitimately say these are guys who would be developing toward a national team spot, which is what the Anthem exists for. Coming after that would be Jack Warble, spelled not how you pronounce it, Jack Warble. New England picks a guy from the University of Vermont, a New England guy, and he's very smart, an engineering major. He's got the size to play lock, and this was my sort of dark horse in the draft. You don't get a lot of low division players, and the ones that I've seen drafted, a lot of times they're backs, and that's a different situation entirely because you have to carry that physicality. You have to have more size playing as a back in professional rugby. But as a forward, you still have to be big and strong in Division 2. Did he play a lot of tough games? Well, he was in the toughest Division 2 division, but no. Did he try to be an all-star? Yes. Did he play in like that NCR All-American game against the Irish team? Yes, he did. Brought on as a sub. But there are elements within his game that say, yeah, this guy has potential. New England has the wherewithal to develop him. And I kind of look at some of the guys that they've drafted the last couple of years, and I'm thinking, look, maybe not this year, next year, right? So 3-time defending champion New England, they have time. They can develop these guys, and in a year or two, they put them out there, and you say, wow, where did that come from? Amazing. So we haven't seen the scrum half, haven't seen a fly half. And then Keelan Coyle gets drafted and goes the longest from where he's going to college to where he's been drafted, from South Florida to Seattle. And I mean, that's about as far as you can go. Coyle played at St. Bonaventure for 4 years, from Ireland, has his time in country. That's very important because St. Bonaventure was a double membership team. in the older version of the Rugby East for those 4 years. They paid USA Rugby dues as well as NCR dues, so he was always registered with USA Rugby. That's very important. Then at South Florida was registered with USA Rugby, so that residency piece is okay. He still needs a visa. Smart guy, very good, classic fly half. Can run, can pass, can distribute, can direct, good communication, very good kicking, both from the hand and from the kicking tee. So all of those things are good. Playing time, don't know. That's up to Alan Clark, the head coach, and things like that. But it would be great to see somebody establish residency in the United States. Yeah, I mean, I talk about American-produced fly halves. Well, this is the closest we've got here, along with maybe Brunello. Let's get him some time, or let's get him some available time somewhere, right? There are high-level playing opportunities as well in the Northwest. That's important for him if he's not playing for the Seawolves proper. All right, so two Canadians back-to-back then. Old Glory goes with Merlin McLeod. Grant Meadows from Brock goes to California. Both of them very solid players, loose forwards. So I think that this is a situation you look around and say, who's the best available in the type of player we're looking for? Somebody versatile, somebody who can do things that we need, make tackles, right? Poach balls, stuff like that. I think that's pretty straightforward. And then after those two guys, Lachlan McDonald out of Walsh, before Notre Dame College. Remember that program shifted over. He goes to Chicago. This is no surprise whatsoever because McDonald has been playing with the Chicago Academy, the Hounds Academy, for some time. He played also with the Chicago Lions Sevens team. He's established his time in Chicago, and he's pretty much not left the United States since he came to Notre Dame College as a freshman, did the 5 years, and stayed around. He didn't want to risk leaving. He established his residency and keep it. And I talked to him about this. He said, I want to be an Eagle. He's a fullback, fly half, center type guy, can probably play a little wing well. He kicks very well for goal and also for territory. I'm just sort of really motivated for that. And I think that's a lesson right here. Yes, he got drafted. But I think as a player going forward, you have to be realistic about what your chances are. Are you going to be a first-round pick? Most guys, not all, but most know if they're going to be a first-round pick. After that, you don't know. I mean, we're going to talk about a couple of guys who I think could easily have been drafted and weren't. Establish a relationship with a team, maybe two, but establish a relationship with a team and say, hey, I'd like to play for you. I'd like to be in that city. Chicago is so great with that. The Hounds, but also their connection with the Lions and the Griffins, who both have had a really good history in terms of setting up summer situations for college players and then setting them up with jobs, things like that. You're going to need another job playing in the MLR. You just are. So all of that, I think that Lachlan or Lockie McDonald, his example, that's a great example for everybody. Jacob Hall becomes the first scrum half drafted, and I didn't talk about him in my preview. Utah's taking him, scrum half out of Arizona. I didn't talk about him because I was 95% sure he's going back to school. But I didn't really consider, and this is my fault, I didn't really consider the fact that you can go back to school, play your season, turn around, sign with a team, and play half the season. And especially seeing as you're probably not going to play all that much anyway, you might actually be better off doing that. So that's probably what's going to happen. Jacob Hall, a very good, hardworking, fit scrum half. And clearly California was impressed with him, and a little bit local, I guess. So then Ian Rowdy Bush from Penn State is a flanker, goes to Houston. He's another one who's just a rangy guy in this, well, rangy, not in the body build, but more about just his fitness and how he's able to cover the ground and get work done. So that's pretty impressive. Another scrum half, Remy Thompson. I said I really liked him. Like McDonald, he established his time with Notre Dame College and Walsh. A captain, very good athlete, very good scrum half, does all the things that he needs to do. He's another guy for New England who has time to develop. I would I got to have a look at this. Let's have a look and see if we can track this group of, say, this draft and the last two from New England. And what do they do with those guys, and how do they play them? They don't play them a lot necessarily in the first side in MLR. They're winning championships. what else are they doing with them? All right, there were some guys that were not drafted. Well, obviously, about 120 of them were not drafted. Some players who could have been drafted easily. Hayden Mackay from Mount St. Mary's, a flanker, a little bit small for a flanker, but can play hooker, probably tracks as a hooker. I would have picked him at some point. I'm not going to, there are all these options, things. A surprise to me that he wasn't picked, and it could well be that he's got a relationship with a team, and that team wanted them, and everybody knew it, and they didn't draft him because they're going to sign him. Cal Coakley out of St. Mary's. A tough one because maybe a little bit small for a lock, but is one of those players, he just plays rugby extremely well. He does so many things extremely well. A little bit surprised that he didn't get the pick. And I think is an option, definitely an option, but he tracks to me as a 7, maybe 6, 7, professionally. We'll see about that. Nick Sidorowicz was another hooker who could have been picked. The hookers that did go were Robb, Chadwick, and Phillips. I think he could have gone. Again, I think Mackay could have gone. And then scrum half, another St. Mary's guy, Hunter Maudlin. Very, very fit guy. Gets there, makes his passes, smart guy. I liked his highlight video. Among the videos that I saw, his was one of the best in terms of, like, for a scrum half, showing pass after pass after pass after pass, which you don't see a lot with scrum halves. You see them do a highlight video where they're making line breaks all the time. It's like, who cares? I mean, yes, you need to do that, and you need to run those support lines, but he showed himself defending and passing, and I was impressed with that. I think Hunter Maudlin, should he choose to go find a place in an MLR team, then I think he's got some options. Might take a little time, but I think go find a town, go work there, work at it, and break your way into the team. I think he could be signed. Eddie Van Heerden out of Lindenwood. Think about him. As I understand it, he's got a nice little job that is not in an MLR town, so he might just sort of say, hey, I'm happy here. I declared for the draft. Keep my options open, but yeah, thanks, I'm working here. So that's another situation. That might change, right? So those are all discussions there. Jack Tregoning out of Central Washington, also played with the Chicago Lions. He's Welsh. He has the residency, good fly half. I just don't think there was room for him there. I'm not actually surprised he wasn't drafted, simply because I don't see a lot of room for the fly halves there. Evan Corbett, the center out of Mount St. Mary's, I think has a bunch of tools there. And I think he's in a situation that he's going to cost him a visa for a year, but there's such an upside there. So I think that's another situation, a little bit of a surprise for me. That's what I got from the draft, and we're going to track a little bit more about how these guys go. We've done some stuff on the minutes and things like that. You should have a look at that video. But that's what I saw in the draft. Really enjoyed that, and I'll tell you this: if you're a player who is thinking about professional rugby and you want to ask some questions about how does it work, what happens if I don't get drafted, things like that, drop me a note. There's a contact us on the website, goffrugbyreport.com. I'll try to answer as best I can. There are agents out there who can help. Gainline is an agency that really it doesn't hit you up for money up front and stuff like that. So they're pretty good about that. So I would recommend at least talking to them and seeing what your options are. But remember also, it's a global game. Go overseas if you want. Wyatt Parry, Schultz Award winner, is probably going to South America because he wants to spend a year maybe in South America, where he speaks Spanish quite well. Spent some time there on his LDS mission. So why not go down there and play in Chile or whatever. You can do that, right? Go all over the place, go all over the world, and then maybe come back. The key there, well, we'll talk about that. Key about how to make that work, I think that's another video. So, yeah, that should do it. Thanks a lot.